I think everybody who's on a canal boat has a bit of a story. They're all sort of running away from something or running to something. My name is Fraser Harrison, and I live on Toodle Pip. I spent my career in psychiatry as a psychiatric social worker, so I worked a lot with people, and basically I just felt as if when I retired I just wanted to sort of get away from everybody and everything. I've always been aware of my mental well-being, coming from a background in psychiatry, and when I left there I was sort of burnt out. My stress got to the point whereby just last June the 22nd, I had a triple bypass at St. Bart's. So I needed 3 valves changing my heart because I was sort of quite stressed throughout the whole of my life. And I thought that was a natural part of working in psychiatry and social work. And actually it really wasn't. It didn't have to be like that. I was just stressed with living in London. Come on, honey. Come on. Basically, this is the galley area, which is normally what people would call the kitchen. Got space here for some beers and some food. This is called the saloon, where I sit and watch TV. That can be turned into a bed. This is my squirrel stove, which we use during the winter. This is what we call the poop deck. It's where you go for a poop. I'm certainly a sort of lot more positive. I'm a lot more calm. I very rarely ever get sort of upset about anything, really, to be honest. There's nothing to get upset about.
I'm Colin Legg. I have been living on a boat for 8 years now. Me and my partner, we lived in Hackney, in a flat in Hackney Central. And at the time, I think it was quite mouldy, and it had storage heaters, which are not the greatest things. So anyhow, we always used to walk up and down the canal here, and it was just one of those things of, well, maybe that's a different way of doing it. Why not? Like, you get moments when, you look outside and you go like, oh wow, there's this carp swimming around, and you spend 10 minutes staring at a carp swimming around, and that's nice. It's kind of like, or like, I think one of the things that strikes me every now and again, sounds odd, watching the reflection of the light on the ceiling. You have these moments where you sort of pause and you go, wow, I mean, that's nice, that's pretty beautiful. My experience is you are often too busy. It kind of puts a lot of pressure on your time. So, like, you find yourself filling spare moments with bits of maintenance. Your water pump will start leaking. You might get a diesel leak. Yeah, I mean, it goes on.
My name's Jessica.
My name's Johnny, and we're on Luna.
We were deciding where we wanted to live when we were first starting out, so right after we got married. And we chose England, and then I'd always wanted to live in a tiny house and build my own tiny house, which isn't a thing, I don't think, over here very much. So we were watching a TV show randomly one night. It's like mortgage-free living, and then there was a canal boat on it, and I was like, jokingly kind of said, why don't we live on a boat? And then then Johnny bought a boat. We moved on a boat.
Yeah, we kind of like the idea of not having a mortgage, and at the time we were paying a lot of money on rent for a flat, and we were working hard and not gaining anything really, so I think we were just tired of that. We were just breaking even, and we were tired of that, and thought, why not get a boat, because it was what we could afford at the time. And it's just really good living. It's really nice to have our own space.
Kitchen, our stove, and then our fridge is hidden away. Piano, and then our bathroom, showers hidden away in here. But yeah, it's kind of. And then our bedroom, which is nice. And the community is like really tight knit. Like everyone's really kind and helps each other out. Like being a new boater, people always give advice or help us out. Or when we were taking out the marina for the first time, there's a ton of people out helping us.
Although I do still have a two-bedroom flat in London, I much prefer to be on the boat, because in the flat, you know, nobody passes by because it's on the second floor. Nobody says hello. You know, I spent 3 days there yesterday and was virtually insane by the time 3 days was up. On the canal, everybody says hello. They all want to chat. In London, no one will talk to you unless you're on the canal or on the river.
There's a lot more of a sense of community than I've found in other places that I've lived in London. It's pretty diverse, I think. It's like, it's really easy to fall into these traps of thinking that, like, I know, like it's a bunch of lefty hippies or something like that.
The other day when I was talking to Angus, the guy that works at the wine shop next to the farm stall, he said, you know, because you're not the usual person I would expect to be on a boat. So I think it's funny because, like, people just, I mean, you don't really, not everyone just announces that they live on a boat, do they? Just normal people.
I mean, for so many people, it is necessity. It's like, you know, rental prices are huge. There's no getting away from that. So for loads of people, it is a necessity. And I guess it's one of the unique things about it is you do end up with this situation where you've got somebody who's got a very expensive wide beam that they've maybe even paid £150,000 on for, and next to like a tiny little GRP boat that somebody has managed to scrape together, who might be like, you know, a step away from homelessness or something like that. So you do get a lot of that, and I guess I suppose you used to get. It's similar to the situation that I think you used to get in London a lot, where you know, London used to be recognised for this, you know, very, very expensive posh areas next to, you know, much poorer demographics, I guess. But I think less so. But it's still, at the moment, it's still the case on the canal. That in particular is one of the things I do really like about it. Quite a long time ago, they started to develop a London mooring strategy, which seemed to be, in terms of like a lot of the terminology they used, seemed to be very much based on the idea that there were too many boats on the waterway, which is something that personally I would question. Lots of things came out of it, and one of these things was a water sports zone, and then at some point they changed this into these water safety zones. So the basis for these water safety zones was, I think, that there was a percentage increase in collisions. It was really hard to get them to release some figures on this, and we had to do a freedom of information, well, several freedom of information requests, and one of them was finally successful. So it's got lots of vague data in there, but from what we can tell from that data, I think it was in 2016 and 2017, there were 6 collisions in the lower Lee area between powered boats and rowing boats. And it's not really clear what a collision is. I don't know if that's just touching an oar, if that's a light bounce, if it's a massive crash. We don't really know. We're talking very, very small numbers. It's just really hard to understand how or why there's this necessity to create these water safety zones, which will essentially strip a whole load of moorings out of like a really important area for continuous cruisers. Continuous cruising is when you don't have a home mooring, so you don't have a permanent space where you can go and moor your boat. So it just means that you move around the waterways, basically, and you have to move a certain distance. You generally have to move every 2 weeks.
I don't really particularly like the notion of the free areas and stuff. It does stop people from you know, having more mooring spaces. We get a lot less choice, and we actually are the ones that pay the license fees. The other boaters obviously don't.
I I'm worried about it. Yeah, it will affect me. It will certainly make things a lot more difficult for me. One of the things they're saying is that they believe they're leaving enough moorings in the area for it to work, but it won't, because their figures are based on this really idealised notion of what mooring is. Like when I come down this stretch, there's loads of places I can't moor for various reasons. Somebody might have a cratch cover on the front and back, which means I can't get right across their boat. One boat's too short, one boat's too long, one boat's too small. That boat's, fiberglass. I've got a metal boat, so I can't moor against that, and so on and so forth. It's not like, you're never going to get a situation where you're going to get perfect double mooring and then, perfect single mooring. Often areas are too shallow, so you can't get in. There's a collective who've sort of got together and the Stop the Boat Coal hashtag, and a lot of it is driven by NBTA, who is National Bargee Travellers Association. We did a smaller protest in Broxbourne, which went really well. Then we had the Hackney flotilla, which was much bigger. That went really, really well. There was a lot of support for it.
They want to take away 400 mooring spaces between here, Tottenham, and Old Ford Lock. 400 places where we could moor our boat.
If they don't back down and they put those signs up saying no mooring, no double mooring, without discussing with us about real safety, we will disobey them.
Nobody owns the waterways. The boats don't own them really, to be honest. CRT don't really own them because, they can't really evict us and stuff. There's always ways, but I think they'll hopefully we'll find a compromise.
Sort of sad thing for me about the whole situation is I feel like there's this institutionalized prejudice against mostly continuous cruisers, but various boaters within Canal and Rivers Trust. Thing about them sort of perceiving continuous cruisers as a problem, and I think it's such a shame, because I think there's actually a massive opportunity, I think, for them to. It's a really vibrant, interesting culture.
There's a lot of criticism towards the CRT, but they're the only people around that is willing to sort of regulate and manage the whole boating situation. We haven't got anybody else to blame, so blame the CRT.
Saltford can be difficult. There's quite a few people that moor up on the river there. The residents aren't very happy about it.
Yeah.
And there's definitely been some feuds, I think. Luckily we're in the marina, so we're safe there. We know we're okay.
Yeah.
But I think, living on the river.
There's been a lot of, they don't like seeing, they want the river to themselves and that view and the hills and that kind of thing to their house view. They don't want dirty canal boats in front of them. But
last week there was one of the residents there was untying people's boats.
Yeah.
Which is awful, really.
Yeah.
Their home just floating away.
Yeah.
If you didn't like the view of it, it's horrendous, really.
Yeah.
I guess for a lot of people, you do have that thing in the back of your mind where you're like, what happens when my back stops working very well and stuff like that? Because it is quite a sort of physical, manual life. You do find yourself pulling around heavy boats and stuff like that, and working locks and all the rest of it. This is like, it still works. It's still fun. So why not? I don't think many people enter into this life expecting it to do it for their whole lives. So maybe it's just something that either happens or doesn't happen. Later on you might find yourself still here and going like, oh, okay, there we go.
Yeah, it's very easy with 2 people and a dog.
Yeah.
But as soon as maybe our family starts to expand, it might be a little more difficult. I think we'd miss it a lot.
Yeah, definitely. I think if we do move back to land, we'll definitely retire in a boat. I think we'll go back to a boat someday. I wouldn't be surprised.
We'll always have a boat. I think I am getting old now. I'm over 60 now. I'm coming up 61. I don't want to retire and go and live in a house and die. I'd much rather sort of just chuck myself in the river really when the time comes.